I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
And here we go. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. It is your daily sports podcast that, frankly, disappoints you every single day. All right, here we are. It is a Wednesday. Thank you for checking in, kiddos, whether you're watching or listening live or later. It all goes to the same spot. So if you're watching live on X and YouTube, also you can listen to the show live if you're in your car or walking around or just don't want to watch us because we're not good looking. The Puck Sports mobile app. Download it today to your Android phone, Google Play, your iPhone at the iOS store. Just search Puck Sports mobile app. Now, if you watch and listen to the show later, we're available everywhere. Up on YouTube, just search Puck Sports. Hit that subscribe button, please. You may watch and not a subscriber. Just hit the subscribe button. That's it. That's all you got to do. And also the like button and leave comments there. Also, you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms later. Of course, the big ones, Apple, Spotify, wherever and whichever podcast platform you choose does not matter. We, of course, do this every single day. Big thanks to Limback Lumber. We're in the Limback Lumber studios. They're here to tell you you can trust us with all your lumber needs from do-it-yourselfers and small contractors. They have whole house packages, free deliveries for that. Give them a call at 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbacklumber.com. You can visit me on social media, Puck Sports everywhere except for TikTok, which is Puck_sports. And go visit pucksports.com. You can find our contests up there. You can also find our shows up there, the catalog of everything that we've done. Plus, you can sign up to become a Puck's Posse member. Your membership supports all the free daily content we do here at Puck Sports. In addition to that, we add new shows, bonus shows every single week, and we're going to add to that arsenal as we get going here in 2026. But the latest Sports Pit is out with Matt Stretch Johnson, came out yesterday. We talked a lot of Seahawks, a little bit of M's in yesterday's show. Also out right now, a new edition of Inside Pitch with Ryan Divish, who covers the Seattle Mariners. We talk a lot about Kyle Tucker. We'll get into Kyle Tucker a little bit today as well. And coming out tomorrow, KJ Arntz with our good friend, Mitch Levy. But our best friend joins us on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And ladies and gentlemen, he is a man of principle and conviction, and he's a great American. And he's got a great Puck Sports hat on right now.
Yes, I do. Look at that.
From Bend, Oregon. You can take. Are you one of those guys that keeps the sticker on the
No,
bill?
I just haven't taken it off yet. Okay. I think you got to be 25 or under to do that.
I think 25 or under. Jim Moore is brought to you by an army of sponsorships, and they start with.
I am brought to you by an army of sponsors, including, first and foremost, Brotherton Cadillac and Shoreline, Brotherton Cadillac and Brotherton Buick GMC in Renton. You know, with Brotherton, you can expect customer convenience with online payment calculators, finance applications for pre-approval, and trade-in value tools to streamline the car buying experience. Just stop by one of the dealerships, ask for Brad Brotherton. Say, I hear about him on Puck Sports. I want to meet this guy. He sounds really cool. You know why? Because he is. Or you can stop by brothertonauto.com. The Angry Beaver's the place to be this afternoon. Did you know that, Puck? 4:00. The Kraken.
And the Devils. Kraken are in action. And the Devils.
And you know what you can do? You can take your little iPod ear things, whatever, and you can listen to Mike Benton on the play-by-play of the Kraken and the Devils.
Benton's
Mark
on the
Justino's favorite team. You know Mark Justino, right? He lives up in the Issaquah Highlands. He loves the New Jersey Devils.
Who doesn't?
He'll be at the Angry Beaver tonight, maybe.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Benton's on the call tonight?
Benton's on the call tonight. Also, one more thing at the Angry Beaver, Geeks Who Drink. Never heard of these guys. Apparently, they're big in the trivia world. Trivia at the Angry Beaver tonight at 7:00.
Connor asked, when does the Puck merch drop? When I get around to off my lazy ass and changing the website. We've got to, I got to put like a, Shopify or something on there. I got to do it. I've got everything down there. We got shirts, we got hats, we got sweatshirts. It will be up there soon.
The hoodies are nice.
Hoodies are real nice. The shirts are real nice too.
Puck Sports with the
Yeah.
promise to be better logo.
Yeah, which we never deliver.
You don't. So why don't you come up with a new slogan?
Because that's the funny thing about it. We promise to be better every day, but we're not. We're not better.
Do you think we're worse?
I'm taking a shot at myself.
Do you think we're worse?
I think slowly but surely we are getting worse. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm surprised so many people watch and still listen.
Hey, by the way, can I slip this in real quick? I'm going on a golf trip to Portugal. I'm hosting the golf trip.
You've done it 3 times in your life. Slip one in. So yes.
Yeah. So if anybody's interested in going to play golf in Portugal with me, contact me at Twitter at CougsGo or Jim Moore, the go-to guy.
This is your pyramid scheme that you're doing with your buddy to pay for a free trip.
It's not a pyramid scheme, and I'm going for free, but I'm trying to help a buddy.
Of course you are.
Well, I'm trying to help.
The guys that you're trying to get to go with you are the ones that are paying for your trip.
I'm trying to help this buddy of mine who lives in Austria, who's starting a golf travel business, and who wouldn't want to go play golf in Portugal or just go to Portugal, the Silver Coast. It sounds like
is there a website they can go to?
Well, yeah, but I forget what it is. But just
what's your buddy's name?
Jim Moore, the go-to guy at yahoo.com, and the 2 is a numeral 2.
Yeah. What's your buddy's name?
Find me on Substack, Stefan Gertler.
Didn't even know his name.
It's mygolfconcierge.travel.uk or something like that. I'm sorry, I should know.
Come on, can you do some research right now, and I'll put it up on the screen for people. We can promote it.
Yeah.
So you can get a free trip to Panama to go play golf.
Yeah, it's Portugal.
Oh, Portugal. Sorry, to go play Portugal. Portugal golf. You know, a bunch of Americans are moving to Portugal, and people aren't happy in Portugal about it. They don't like it. They don't like people coming. Yeah, they don't like it. They're like, get away. Stop coming to our country. You're taking all our land.
Yeah. Okay. I'll find it. Okay. I'm slow, man.
That's okay. Just you find it. I'll research it. My Travel UK or a best way is Jim Moore, the go-to guy.
At yahoo.com. Here we go.
Okay, you got it now? What is it?
I think I have it.
Okay. What's the website?
It's okay, I got it. It's mygolfconcierge. Travel. Shit. At travel. Fuck, I don't know, man. Let's just go play golf in Portugal. All right.
Let's just play golf in Portugal, huh? My golf concierge.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. .travel.
myconcierge.travel. Okay.
That didn't come up. All right.
If you're gonna promote something and you want,
I know I'm just a buffoon, man. I admit it. I'm frantically trying to find it because you're trying to help me out, and I can't find it. I think I deleted the email.
I think I finally found it for you.
Did you?
Good Lord. Yes, here it is.
See. I'll recognize the logo.
No, I don't want you to record my scene.
God,
there. Is that it?
How many listeners are we losing? That's it. Look at that. So what he's doing, he's trying to start a golf travel business. And I just, like you, who took a big risk going out on your own, I'm trying to support Stefan, who I met on a golf media trip a long time ago. He's a cool guy. I talked to him yesterday.
Seems like a great guy. Can't wait to hear all about your trip. Look is that Stefan right there?
There he is.
Yeah, look at him.
And he's a lefty. He's a lefty golfer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. mygolfconcierge.travel. If you'd like to go play golf with Stefan and Jim Moore in Portugal, and he needs 3 more people to pay for his trip to Portugal, so sign up today.
And I want to make this clear. This was not my idea. I was not looking I didn't go up to Stefan and say, hey, man, you're starting this business. Why don't you comp me and I'll host a trip to Portugal? That did not happen.
Okay.
That did not happen. He approached me. And yeah.
Hey, whatever
he's trying to sell it like I'm some sort of freaking legend, Hey, Hey, come on this golf trip with the legendary Jim Moore. You know when you become a legend is just when you get old.
Hey,
That's it.
Whatever you have to do to get yourself convinced that you're not a part of some.
Well, okay, here. I guarantee you've golfed with me. I mean, I've golfed with you. We're fun to golf with, aren't we?
We're fun. You're a great guy to golf with. Yeah, people would love it. Go there, myconcierge.travel to go play golf in Portugal with Jim Moore and Stefan. Stefan or Stefan?
Stefan.
Stefan. There we go. All right. Yes, losing listeners by the minute. All right, we got a lot to get covered. Seahawks 49ers, trash talking, Kyle Tucker. We got another episode of In the Bloody Trenches with Rob Staton. I'll give you a preview or the latest inside pitch with Ryan Divish coming up in a little bit. We talk a lot about Kyle Tucker. I want to get to Kyle Tucker in just a second, but I do like the shit talking going back and forth between the Seahawks and Niners. You've got
can I interrupt for just a second? Michael Sean Dugar and Rob Staton. You can't find another radio station in town who has better analysts for this game and for any game with the Seahawks than Rob Staton and Michael Sean Dugar. I listened to Michael Sean today when I was out on my walk, and there were all kinds of great things that he said that I hadn't really thought of. So check it out at pucksports.com. Anyway, okay, what about the trash?
He's got a great story up there today that he wrote about Sam Darnold and Mike McDonald's trust in Sam Darnold and why he has told Sam Darnold from the get-go, let it rip. Do not play scared. Be aggressive. He's like, if I tell you to sit there and don't turn over the ball. And I always thought that was a Pete Carroll problem. I thought Pete Carroll erred of how he handled Russell Wilson at times. And I think it's a fair criticism because what did he always say? Protect the ball, don't turn it over. And I think when you preach that nonstop, and I know he has a Super Bowl championship, so listen, it worked out quite well. I get it. But I always thought that he didn't let like Russell in his heyday when he really was in his prime to just go and let it rip and have fun and play. Remember the Bills game when he threw the bunch of picks and then he got so mad at Schottenheimer and the offense said, we're done doing that. We're not going to play that style anymore. And I thought he neutered Russell Wilson. And I think for Mike McDonald's a defensive-minded coach, I like his approach towards Darnold. Hey, man, don't play.
I do too, but I totally disagree with what you just had to say about Russell because when they let Russ cook, it wasn't that great. There was a sweet spot for Russ. Puck, if you go back, and I didn't do this. I didn't do this research. Wyman did. Okay. There was a sweet spot for Russell Wilson. I forget what it was. It was like 25 to 28 throws a game. And when he was 29 to 40, they had a losing record.
What year was that? Did you ever ask Wyman what year that was?
It was in his prime, though. Yeah. And I remember that Buffalo game. That was the year that everybody was like, God, let Russ cook. And Russ was even liking that on Twitter, when people would do that.
I don't want to get into a Russell and that defense debate. I will just say that defense was on the downside of its run when he started to really come into his own. When Brian Schottenheimer was here, that offense was humming. They weren't losing games because of the offense. They were losing games because of the defense. But yeah, I guess
I appreciate what you're saying about Mike McDonald, though, because I agree with you. I think it's great. You can't play scared. You can't play not to lose.
Right.
I mean, you have to play to win, all those different things. But guaranteed the yelling shows, though, on Monday, if the Seahawks lose with Darnold throwing 3 interceptions, it'll be like, what is Mike McDonald thinking letting him rip out there? He
but I don't
be more conservative. It's so easy in hindsight to look back and say these things.
Yeah. But I don't think he's saying, hey, let's rip it downfield and let's throw the ball 40 times a game. I don't think he's saying that. I just think he's saying that, hey, when we throw the ball, when we call a passing play, I need you to let it rip. Like, it's, if it's there, go. They didn't really do that in the last Niners game. They didn't push the ball downfield at all. I mean, it was dink and dunk and take the real conservative throws, and it worked out well for them. I mean, they won the game. They won it pretty comfortably, even though they only scored 13 points. And we've gone through this a million times. They should have scored more. But they didn't really push the ball downfield. I mean, really, when you think about it, and Dugar and I talked about this on Tuesday's show or on Monday's show, they haven't really, pushed it downfield with Shaheed. When's can you remember really the only time they've really aired it out to Shaheed downfield? They really haven't. There was a one play in the end zone that the ball was batted away, and I'm blanking on which game that was. But that was on the plus side of the opponent. That was like from the 35 or 40. I'm talking about, play action, you plant that back foot, and we're going 70 yards on a deep post. They really haven't done that with Shaheed. And I understand the sentiment from McDonald of just giving him the confidence. And I think more than anything, he's just saying, go out there, play, relax, let it rip. I'm not going to put in your head when we go play a game, hey, don't turn the ball over. Because I think when you say that, hey, we play golf, right? If I say to myself, if someone don't hit it in the water, I'm going to hit it in the water. It's just the ball's going to go in the water because you've put that negative thought, that negative energy into it.
Yeah, I just with Darnold, he's one of those guys. And the yelling show I watched this morning again, I think it was Dominique Foxworth talking about it. There's nobody in the NFL right now in Denver that's saying, well, let's make Josh Allen beat us. And there's nobody in Chicago saying, let's let Matt Stafford beat us. But Dominique Foxworth was saying, and I agree with him, you got to let Sam Darnold beat you if you're the 49ers. But the problem with that is they can't stop the run. They haven't been able to stop the run. I mean, what the Seahawks get against them? 170 yards on the ground in that last meeting?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And Michael Sean also brought up a great point with Robert Saleh being the key, because to me, I thought, well, it's Shanahan. Certainly he's an offensive wizard. He's going to come up with things. But Michael Sean pointing out that he hasn't done anything in the 5 games he's faced a McDonald defense. So you flip it around, though, the Seahawks haven't been that successful against a Robert Saleh defense either. So Saleh's the key to this game, too.
I think the first game, but again, I'll just go back to the last game. What did Robert Saleh really do in that game? They didn't really do anything. They didn't do anything. They were self-inflicted wounds in that game. Jason Myers missed 2 field goals, and Sam Darnold missed a wide-open Zach Charbonnet in the flat. They marched up and down the fucking field on that Robert Saleh defense. I get really kind of tired.
Why didn't you tell Michael Sean that when he brought that up?
I don't know, because
he's a guest that you're nicer to than you are to me?
I don't know. I just think that...
Does Michael Sean wear a PS hat?
He does not. I'm going to get him one. He doesn't really like to wear hats. He's more of a beanie guy, and I don't have any beanies. We can get him a beanie. Okay. Would we be saying this about
you don't think Robert Saleh's? You don't think he really made a difference in Philadelphia? And I would maybe tend to believe in what you had to say there, because the Eagles' offense just isn't that good.
They're in turmoil. Everyone hates everyone. The quarterback hates the receiver hates the quarterback. They all hate the coordinator, which they fired, and then everyone hates Sirianni. So Philadelphia was going to lose eventually because they're a mess. If if the Seahawks didn't miss the field goals and they punched it in at the 1, which they should have, and they scored 26 points, is anyone going, God, I don't know, that Robert Saleh defense, real concerned about that? They do. I mean, come on. They were up and down the field. I'm just saying, I'm giving credit to Seattle. They went up and down the field on Robert Saleh's defense.
Okay, would you say that Robert Saleh is one of the top 5 defensive coordinators in the league, though?
I don't know. I'm not educated enough to answer that.
I
don't know every
say something. Just say yes or no.
I don't know. I don't know all the defensive coordinators in the NFL.
I don't either. I just assume he must be.
No, he's not. How about that? Well, who is? I don't know. I do like saying his name, though, Robert Saleh.
I like how happy, didn't he? Boy, he looked happy on that.
Of course, he's happy. He shaved his head. He's got a great, beautiful head. I like how he goes after everyone after games and almost tries to fight everybody.
So you're not worried about him so much, though. But Shanahan, I think it's right to feel.
I'm more worried about Shanahan than I'm worried about Robert Saleh.
So what do? Go inside Shanahan's head. What do you do? I mean, you know that they completely suffocated you in the last game. So what do you do to change that around to at least score, 24 points? Well,
they just kept everything short. There was nothing deep downfield. I think you pull out the bag of tricks. They kind of did it last week in Philadelphia, with the pass to Jawan Jennings. Every little trick play that you've ever had, that you've ever dialed up, has got to be in the playbook on Saturday. Everything. I don't know. How do you get McCaffrey more involved? You throw more screen passes. I just think anything and everything to get Christian McCaffrey 25 to 30 touches in the game would be my number one goal.
It would be, but boy, when you look at his stats against the Seahawks in those 2 games, averaging 3 yards a rush, hasn't been a factor against him.
What's the line? Is the line moved on the game there, Smoke and Lock? What do we know?
7.5.
Okay.
Seahawks by 7.5.
The public knows.
Well, no, I looked at that today. The public, it's like 75% of the bets on the Seahawks to cover in that game.
So now you're going to go Niners because you and Troy Wins don't like betting on the with the public. So
yeah, it's the same thing. You know what's even worse? Here's a smoke and lock if you want a week ahead of time. Or wait, it's this week. Yeah. Take Miami against Indiana because it's like 83% of the betting public is on Indiana.
I'm sorry. I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to take Indiana.
Okay, $50. You give me the whatever it is.
What's the line? Is it 6.5?
Well, it's 8.5 at rebet. I'm not.
No,
sure
I'm not going rebet because I don't.
Why not?
First of all, because rebet is started by some high school kid, and I don't really trust his lines.
Well, okay. I'd rather have Miami at 8.5 on rebet than 7.5 at DraftKings.
Well, of course you would.
I mean,
duh. I'd rather have.
Rebet's cool, by the way.
I'm sure.
If you sign up for rebet, I'm just going to make it all about me.
Here we go. You make it all about you.
And mention that you heard about it from me, and they give me like a free $100 or something.
Sure. If you mention Jim Moore, you get $50 credit, and Jim will get an extra $50 as well. Rebet.
Oh, God.
It's where Jim Moore gambles.
God, and I'm broke too. Jesus.
Well, I'm shocked at your joke.
I chased on Justin Herbert. What a mistake that was.
Well, I'm seeing the line here. So you have 8.5. It is at 8.5. I'm looking at it's just ESPN. I don't know who ESPN uses, but
all right. Maybe they use rebet. Okay, give me 8.5 for $50.
I don't care.
All right.
8.5. They're gonna stomp them.
Well, that's what everybody thinks.
Yeah, well, everybody thought they would stomp Oregon, and they did that too.
Why isn't the line 13.5 if they're going to stomp them?
Well, maybe it'll just go up even more. Well, home field, Miami, they're playing there, probably, yeah.
I actually like the under in that game better, under 47.5.
Indiana just seems like on a mission.
You know, I was all excited about the Indiana story, and I still kind of am. But
you're over it already?
Well, I've tempered my excitement when I found out that everybody talks about Curt Cignetti and what a great coach he is. And I'm not going to dismiss the fact that he's a great coach.
Here it comes.
But if it weren't for Mark Cuban, would Curt Cignetti be doing what he's doing this year?
Okay, time out. I don't know this for a fact.
Okay, come on.
I don't think Mark Cuban did anything prior to this year, like last year. I don't think he did anything last year. I think he's new this year.
Well, okay, and they were good last year.
Yeah, so I think before you say it's all Mark Cuban, I don't think it's all Mark Cuban. I think Mark Cuban, maybe I'm wrong, just recently got invested into Indiana.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's not. Look at all the recruits.
So I should look at the warm and fuzzy part of it rather than the cynical part of it.
Well, I think you should look at
who the hell's paying these kids.
Well, I think you should also look at the recruit. Okay, fine, he's paying him, but look at their recruiting stars next to their names. I don't think they have a 5-star recruit, and they have like 3-4 stars. The rest are these 3-star guys. I mean, the majority. I mean, I don't know how many are still on the team, but at least last year. I mean, last year, how many games they lose last year? 1 or 2?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. From James Madison. So, I mean, I still think the story is
all right. It's still a good story, and all the beaten down Indiana fans, I'm happy for them. Like Gas, and I know some other people in Issaquah that are going to the game in Miami, the Easterns. So, yeah, I'm happy for them. But I am cynical about, okay, you must be paying these kids an arm and a leg here. It's just like at Washington State right now. We're getting all these recruits, and I'm thinking, God, is it Kirby Moore? And yeah, it has to do with Kirby Moore being there, but it also has to do with how many donations we're getting as a result of Kirby Moore.
Donations, and then I think the word is, or the story is, that they're using Jimmy Rogers' buyout.
Okay.
The $4 million.
Well, that was a good going away gift to these.
I think so too. You get the $4 million, and then we'll just reinvest the $4 million back into the football program. And that new president, actually, we'll plug Canzano's interview with WSU President Elizabeth Cantwell. He had a great interview with her this week. It's on Canzano's YouTube page, and she's just like reinvested back into football. Like, she's putting money from the school into the football program, which they were not doing. She's like the female version of Bill Moose.
I've grown to like her.
Well, even despite when you are upset that she bought a bidet
at Utah State. Yeah, I am curious. You know,
Jack Thompson got very angry at you.
Well, I know, but Jack and I worked out. work things out. I've got a Throwing Samoan sweatshirt and a Throwing Samoan t-shirt.
Sure, you are the white version of Throwing Samoan. Have been for years.
What the hell are you talking about?
I don't know. Kyle Tucker. Can we transition to Kyle Tucker?
Sure. Why do you want to talk about Kyle Tucker when you know he's not coming here?
But I've got my panties in a bunch about this one.
Why?
Because this is why they are the most exciting and frustrating professional franchise at the same time. Here they are, a game away from playing in the first ever World Series. They've got a superstar at catcher, a superstar in center field, a great pitching staff. They did a great thing by bringing back a fan favorite in Josh Naylor. They know they're a player or two away from getting over the hump. They need more offense. They need something more. They failed to get to the World Series because they just didn't have enough. And here's this guy on the open market, the best hitter that's available. And he's reportedly willing to take a short-term deal of 3 years. Now, it's $50 million a year, but a 3-year deal. And all these teams are rumored to be after him. The Mets, the Dodgers, and the Toronto Blue Jays, the team that knocked you off in 7 games. And yet there's not a whisper about our baseball team. Why? I know why, but I'm going to ask the question, why? Why does this ownership do this every single year? Why are they so complacent when it comes to free agency? Why do they do this? Why do they not realize and see that if they actually invest and spend more money than they're comfortable spending, that it has the possibility of coming back and making them even more money? Can we all just agree that they probably made a shit ton of money during these playoffs?
Yeah, but Puck, I always go back to forget about the short-term part of it. And you're right. Postseason-wise, they did well with the playoffs financially and all that. But how about just looking at what the team is worth in 2026 compared to what it was worth when you bought it? And then what the team will be worth in 2030 compared to what it's worth right now. So it just continues to go up by multi-millions into the billions and billions and billions. And the other part I always come back to that just blows me away, because clearly being a sports writer my whole life, I wasn't all that interested in getting rich, making 5-figure salaries. So maybe I just don't understand how rich people operate. But why would you not want to be the first to do something in a city? Why would you not want to be the first? Again, if you're the Yankees or the Dodgers, they've won so many championships. If I'm John Stanton, I want to hang my hat on the fact that, hey, man, I was the first one to be the owner of the Seattle Mariners when they went to the World Series and won the whole thing.
I guess what just drives me crazy, and it should drive every Mariner fan crazy, is it's not even a consideration to get Kyle Tucker. Not even on their radar.
No, well, they've already mentioned what their budget is, or
they don't even, it's just not even, oh, no, we're not. This is a team that was a couple outs away from being in the World Series. They didn't get there. Why didn't they get there? One of the biggest reasons why they didn't get there, they didn't have enough offense, and they didn't have enough offense at the bottom of their order. And they're sitting home. And I just think they look at this like, oh, because it happened last year, we'll be in great position again this year. There were so many variables that happened from season to season. You can't just bank on last year and go, well, we'll be back in this position again this year. Not when other teams are desperately trying to get better. The Blue Jays aren't sitting on their hands. The Blue Jays are like, F it, we're going all the way in. Now they may not win. I mean, Blue Jays may not win the whole thing. Just because you spend money doesn't mean you're going to win. So I'm not saying that if you spend, you're going to win. But your odds go up. Your odds increase. Their odds would increase if they acquired Kyle Tucker. Can we just agree on that? Their odds of winning the whole thing would increase. And if they went to spring training, which starts in a couple 3 weeks, if you polled every player on that team, they said, you think we should get Kyle Tucker? Do you think it would be 100% unanimous? So the team knows that a player like that would help. I just get, as much as I love them, I get really frustrated with this ownership group that they just don't seem to get it. Just go in and they've been selling everyone always on this. Hey, we're gonna draft, we're gonna develop in trades, and they've done that. Draft, develop, trades. And then Jerry DiPoto's always sat and told us with the support of ownership that when the time is right, will supplement the rest of the roster with free agent moves. But then they don't do it. They don't make a splash in free agency.
You know what's funny, Puck, is that I'm okay with what they've done so far. And we still have a month to go. There's going to be another move or something. I don't know if they're going to go with Ben Williamson at third base to open the season, or maybe Colt Emerson will be ready to go. I know there's concerns. Do you want Cole Young to be at second and have another young guy at third? Should you bring Gino back? I wouldn't mind seeing. There mustn't be a huge market for Gino out there if he hasn't been signed yet.
Well, Divish and I talk about it today, and it's out available now. If you want to watch or listen to the whole thing, Inside Pitch with Divish is out right now. You got to sign up to become a Puck's Posse member. That's just $5 a month. You're not getting a trip to Portugal, but you're getting Divish from a furniture store.
Give me $5 a month, and I'll trash on Softy. Okay, yeah,
you can do that as well. I think Suarez, and I use this on Divish, I'll use it on you. I think Suarez is the break the glass in case of emergency move.
Okay, but that's a pretty good emergency move, isn't it? And I know that he's on the downside. I know he wasn't as big a factor in Seattle as he was in Arizona before he got here. But still, just that the good vibes only.
You're satisfied.
I don't mind running it back, as they would say, at the intramural courts.
So you're satisfied what they've done. You think if
I am satisfied with what they've done.
So if they don't do anything more, this is it. You're good to go.
They brought in a reliever. I mean, you probably know about that guy. Right. And then the guy from Arizona, the bear down guy, Ref Snyder.
Yeah, I know all the moves.
I mean, Brendan Donovan, is he going to be all that exciting? Is that going to move the needle?
He's a better option at second base than what you have currently. At least he makes it better this year.
Dylan Moore, or are they going to use him more than they would?
No, I think he's a better Dylan Moore.
So you just slot him in ahead of Young.
Yeah, but that's not what I asked you. You didn't. You're not talking about Brendan Donovan. When you
I wasn't listening. What'd you ask?
I know you said what they've done so far. You're good with it. You think they run what they've done right now. You run it back, and they're World Series contenders.
Yes.
See, I disagree with that.
But if they're not hurt. If they don't have injuries, that's why when you bring in a guy like Kyle Tucker, you raise the margin of error.
Who's what you lost from Polanco and what you lost from Suarez? Who's picking that up?
Colt Emerson, hopefully. I know I've got some flaws in my argument here,
but 20 years. They're going to be okay. How old is Colt Emerson? 19 or 20?
I'm throwing shit at the wall. Okay. Colt Emerson might be a superstar. Who knows?
It could be, but that's a lot to ask for him to be that level of player in his first year in baseball. When have we ever seen that? That doesn't happen very often on a championship team.
Okay, so what do you want? Short of Tucker, what do you want? You want Donovan?
I think, Donovan, which, again, that domino could drop. It seems they were close a few weeks ago and didn't get it done. Nico Horner. They need to add to this team. It is incomplete. I love Naylor. I love Ref Snyder. They did a good job in the bullpen, but it's incomplete still. They're not. I don't think they're not better than they were a year ago. Right now, I think there's some certain pieces they're better.
The Polanco loss is really going to hurt them.
Well, I think Polanco and Suarez both. You're losing I think the combination you're losing a lot right there. You're asking. Let's remember you had a historical season from a catcher, which I don't think he's going to replicate that again.
If you're Gino, what do you want? What do you hear him? What's Divish tell you?
I don't know.
What is he? Is he like $30 million a year?
I don't think it's quite that much, but you're looking, probably wants a 2 or 3 year deal. Before you go, Brooks Koepka is back. Are you excited about Brooks Koepka being back? Do you like the punishment that they instilled or bestowed upon Brooks Koepka? Or do you think there should have been more? And do you like how they made this rule just to get back like Koepka, Rahm, Cam Smith, and Bryson DeChambeau, and they made it specifically so Phil Mickelson can never come back?
Yeah, they don't want Lefty.
No,
I don't think Lefty wants to come back either. But no, I'm fine with it. I think Brooks Koepka coming back to the tour, they do have penalties in place for him. And so he put his tail between his legs, and I'm looking forward to seeing him. We know how good he was always in the majors. I don't know if he's still going to be that player down the road, but
won the PGA
certainly
2 years
a big
ago.
name. But if you can get DeChambeau to come back and Rahm adds to the excitement of the tour. And for guys like you and me who watch it every week and bet on it every week, I can't wait. I can't wait to watch, the Sony Open in Hawaii this week.
Can't wait. Starts tomorrow. If you're in a golf league, get your picks in. I got mine in. Get your picks in.
Who'd you go with? Did you go with Connors?
I'm not going to tell you.
Why?
Because I don't know who in our league is watching or listening right now.
Oh, like what? They're going to think you know more about golf than they do?
Oh, but you can get – I want someone all by myself. I don't want those derelicts in the league to know who I took.
You think guys in your golf pool are listening to your podcast?
I think they're one of –
that much, huh?
I think they're – well, you're talking to the defending champion right here who won a lot of money. So, yeah.
Yeah, what'd you win? Five grand?
Yeah, I think 4,800.
Nice.
Yeah. Goddamn right.
You love
nice.
Tommy Fleetwood. Tommy
Fleetwood and his old wife came through for me in a big way.
I love Tommy. I absolutely love Tommy. I'm happy for you. But I took who did I take? I took Maverick McNeely and Nico Echeverria.
Okay, love it. All right. MyConcierge.travel if you want to go play golf with Jim and Stefan in Portugal. Or contact Jim via email. And that email again is what?
Jim Moore, the go-to guy at yahoo.com.
And when's the trip? In April?
It's in April. And it's flexible in April, so we can work around some dates in April. But
love it.
Yeah.
Go join Jim in Portugal today. All right, we'll see you on Friday.
Okay, Puck, go Cougs.
Go Cougs. There he is, Jim Moore with us at Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Brought to you by Brotherton Cadillac and the Angry Beaver. Let's switch gears and we'll head to the Seahawks. Another edition of In the Bloody Trenches with Rob Staton, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer. Your new, locally brewed, domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
And Rob Staton joins us, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Of course, you can check out his YouTube page, Rob Staton Football, and you can follow him on social media at Rob Staton. He's chomping at the bit to talk Seahawks and 49ers. Rob, there is shit talking going on everywhere. Nwosu's talking shit to Fred Warner. We've got Kendrick Bourne relaying a message from the wide receivers coach saying, you check out that Seahawks social media. Yeah, we got something for him coming up on Saturday. This is what good rivalries are all about, right? The lead up to the big game on Saturday.
Well, I suppose they are. And, when this rivalry was at its best, we had two head coaches who seemingly didn't really like each other at all. You had a cornerback who hated their head coach. You had a receiver who hated their head coach. And it was fantastic, wasn't it? But it all feels a little bit more mature with the coaches now. I saw that Jaron Reed said that he doesn't like the 49ers, but generally speaking, it all seems to have mellowed a little bit. So maybe this is going to get it going again.
Yeah, it should be fun. It is a great rivalry in football. Maybe it doesn't have the prestige of some of the other great ones, Packers, Bears, when we think about it, or the Cowboys, Eagles, or the Cowboys, Washington really is the one. But it is a good rivalry between these two franchises, especially since coming over in this new division. They've both just been very good for the last decade or so, despite having, new coaches, right? Going back to Carroll and Harbaugh, you just mentioned that before. And then now with McDonald and Kyle Shanahan. All right. From a Seahawks perspective, how do they maintain what they did in the last game of the season and carry that over now into the divisional round game? And then what expectations do you have that the Niners have got to counter it differently than they did in Week 18?
Well, I think I don't overthink it will be my thought, Puck. I don't know what you think, because you absolutely dominated him in the trenches, and that they didn't trick the way into absolutely dominating that game for 4 quarters. It happened because they were physically better, they were healthier, they were the better team. The Niners had no answer. And if I do have maybe one slight worry about this game, is that because they've had an extended period of time now, have they spent a bit of time like coming up with like different tricky game plans and ideas and all of this because they've had a bit of extra time? And if you've spent time on those game plans, are you then minded to, well, we've done the work, now we're going to bloody well use these ideas that we've spent the last 2 weeks coming up with? And I don't think you need to. I do think there's been times like that Carolina game a few weeks ago was a good example of this, where they kept throwing the football on a wet, miserable day in Carolina where you were running the ball very well. And I kind of got the sense that they're doing this because they thought in the lead up to the game, it was going to be a game where they could get certain passing concepts going and we're going to force it anyway, when really they should have just gone, nah, the game's declared itself. It's a running day, run and defense, punts are okay, field goals are okay. Let's get at it. And I hope that they just stick to that in this game. It is not going to take anything spectacularly different from Seattle's point of view to win this game. From a Niners point of view, I think they've got to attack. Like, they've got to be more aggressive. They have got to try and find points. They've got to try and grab an extra possession. They've got to the trick play with Juwan Jennings. They've got to try things like that. They've got to have turnovers. Like, these are the things that are going to turn it back towards the Niners to give them a chance to win. You've just got to stop that and cut that off and just play a very organized, disciplined game of football, which means sticking to your principles.
A lot has been made about what Robert Saleh's defense did in the wild card round against the Eagles, right? And if you look at just the score in Week 18, 13 points. Now, we can debate, did his defense really stop him for 13 points, or did the Seahawks stop themselves? I think you and I and everyone else would agree the Seahawks stopped themselves and should have been more about 26 points. So it leads me to this, and I'm curious which way you'd answer. I think I know which way you'll go, but I'll ask it anyways. More concerned about facing Robert Saleh this week, or more concerned about facing Kyle Shanahan this week?
Kyle Shanahan every single day of the week. No disrespect to Robert Saleh at all. He has clearly done an unbelievable job with that defense, given all the players they've got injured. But you're quite right. Like, the Seahawks had 23 first downs to San Francisco's 9 in the last game. They had 361 yards. They ran the ball for 180 yards. They were tremendous. Third downs, they were nearly at 50%, 6 of 13. So that wasn't a defense that shut down Seattle in any way. 13 points. I think that's copium from certain sections of the San Francisco, California media, and maybe some of the fans who are trying to convince themselves that that there was some great defensive performance in that game. There wasn't. The problem with that game was Jason Myers looked like he'd forgot his smelling salts. They did spider Y2 banana on 1st and goal at the 1 yard line when they should have just had AJ Barner plowing forward for 7 points and stuff like that. And at the end of the game, they when they missed the second kick and it hit the post, if Zach Charbonnet's a shoelace away from just running that in for a touchdown on 3rd down anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm not a big go for it guy all the time, and I've argued against that this week, but I probably would have gone for it there and just tried to finish it off and flex a little bit and get a touchdown at the end. So I don't really fear that. Look, who have the Niners lost? Like Bosa, Warner. Like, look at all this week. Oh, Warner's coming back. He's been activated from. He's not practicing this week. Just pipe down. Like, the secondary's got issues. They're missing play. They're not just missing Fred Warner. The other linebacker's injured. The backup linebacker's injured. The backup to the backup linebacker's injured. Michael Williams, the first-round pick at defensive end's injured. You have just got to go out there, play the percentages, run the football, you'll be okay. It's Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and Juwan Jennings who are my concern.
When I look at games like this, when it always makes me nervous. I don't know how you feel when you play a team that's got nothing to lose. They get nothing to lose. I mean, and because San Francisco didn't think they'd ever be in this spot because of all their injuries. They didn't think they'd be playing for a chance to go into the NFC Championship once they lost all those guys. That is something that does concern me because, guys that we haven't heard of before, backups, do they start making plays, playing above their weight? That would concern me a little bit going into the game rather than we get into the X's and O's. Because on paper, Seattle should win this one, and they should win it in a pretty comfortable fashion. They won the final game in. But I guess it's that unknown a little bit for me. It's just them playing with house money, playing loose and free, and just like effing. Kyle Shanahan pulling out all these trick plays coming out on Saturday. Because I agree with you, because that's what I think they're going to do. Every trick play that he's ever come up with, he's going to display it on Saturday night.
The problem is like when eventually you would have to imagine, and again, this is said from a position of respect for everything that Kyle Shanahan, Robert Saleh, and everybody at San Francisco has done this year. To win 13 games of the injuries is unbelievable. I think he should be coach of the year because of the injuries. I genuinely do. But you've got to think that what's the injury that's just going to be the injury too far? You've had George Kittle out for the season, possibly out for most of next season as well with this Achilles injury. When is the latest injury just going to be the thing that means they run out of steam? And if you were having to go to Santa Clara, let's say they'd won in week 18, they'd already beaten you, they'd then got this bye week, and then you were going there and you'd had to go across country to play the Eagles, I would be sat here thinking, oh, yeah, they're all rested, and that's a bit concerning. It's the total opposite. You've been able to rest up. You've been able to get players back from IR. They've lost another key player. They've had to fly 5 hours to Philadelphia, play a game, fly 5 hours back. They've had 5 days rest. Seattle's had a couple of weeks rest. Before the last game, Adam Nathan, who I stream with, sent me a message, a DM on X saying, I don't know what we're all worried about. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. I think we're going to win this game comfortably. They're just a better team. The Niners have got too many injured players. Oh. And myself and Robbie, who I also stream with, were, I think, a little bit more cautious than that and said, hope you're right, but I'm not sure it's going to be quite that way. And he was proven absolutely right. So we're now 2 weeks on. I see no reason. The only thing that worries me is whether the Seahawks beat themselves. It's turnovers, it's missed kicks, it's overthinking it, it's trick. Do not have Cooper Kupp throw a football in this game.
No Jalen Milroe coming in for a special package.
No Jalen Milroe. No Cooper Kupp throwing footballs. No flea flickers. None of that stuff. We don't need it. Just run the effing football down their throat, as Marshawn would say, again and again and again and again, and then they won't want it anymore.
And it's another test, I think, for Sam Darnold to pass this weekend.
Yeah. It is. Undoubtedly, it is. Yeah.
Because, again, faced with a similar spot a year ago. And I'll be real curious and excited to see how he responds. I think he's just been so good since that first Rams game. The way he's responded to everything in the face of adversity. And this is just another one for him to kind of mark off this weekend.
Yes. And I think we talked about it a little bit. He is extremely likable. You just really want him to do well. And since that Rams game, that there have been some bad mistakes and some turnovers, and there's a chance there'll be one of those, or maybe more than one, on Saturday. But the team is sufficiently balanced that they've been able to overcome that all year. For him to be the quarterback who turned the ball over, interceptions and fumbles, more than any other player in the NFL this season, and you still win 14 games. And let's be honest, could have won more than 14 games. The 3 losses that they had could all have been wins. And I keep coming back to little things like this. There's the devil on one shoulder, Puck, which tells me, do not be confident about the Seahawks. You are a tried and tested Seahawks fan. You like England in the soccer. You cover a patch with 6 soccer teams that constantly can't get out of their own way and drive you absolutely balmy with the way that you've got to cover them at times. Do not get confident about anything to do with sport ever. And then there's the angel on the other shoulder, which is telling me DVOA has the Seahawks ranked as something like the 7th greatest team on their rankings ever. Like, they are completely balanced. They have a top 10 offense accompanying a top 1 or 2 defense and a top 1 or 2 special teams. Nobody else in the playoffs has that. You have to win 2 home games. Go and get the job done, and then let's spend a fortnight talking about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that we all can acknowledge, and this is not any groundbreaking news. I mean, it would be a real, disappointing failure in a way if they don't win this game. I don't think there's anyone, when you went into this season, expecting them to play in the Super Bowl. Now, expectations change because of how now everything is kind of laid out for you. But if we fast forward and they were to play the Rams in the NFC Championship and somehow lose that game, I think most people, rational thinking Seahawks fans, would take a step back and go, okay, well, I didn't even think they would be there. They were there. They've gotten to this point faster than I thought that they ever would. So I'm satisfied, happy, thrilled with how this season went. But I think the way that it's laid out now, I mean, this is perfect for them. Number 1 seed at home, rested, all that. But then the injury situation, this would be a major gut punch if they don't get this one this weekend because of where San Francisco is at right now. If San Francisco was fully healthy and had all their weapons, you could stomach that. You can't stomach it this weekend if they were to drop this because of how wounded that team is.
I think it'll be a disaster if they lose.
Yeah.
And everything that you've said is correct. Like if you'd have said at the start of the season, you're going to win 14 games, you're going to be in the divisional round, you're going to be the number 1 seed, but you're not going to go much further than that, people would go, okay, the trajectory of this team has really shifted along. This is what we were hoping for. Come back next year. No, the situation is totally different now. You have to look at a situation where Patrick Mahomes is not in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson is not in the playoffs. Joe Burrow is not in the playoffs. We might not have expected the Seahawks to be in the Super Bowl this time last year, but we would have expected those 3 quarterbacks to potentially be in the playoffs. Certainly Mahomes, if not Burrow because he plays for the Bengals, or Lamar Jackson because his health it can be inconsistent there. And then you look at the NFC. If you'd have said to me this time last year, how would you expect the NFC to look? I would tell you that I would think the Detroit Lions, who won 15 games last season, would have been a shoo-in for the playoffs. They're not in the dance. When the Green Bay Packers traded for Micah Parsons, I would have said, my God, that is going to be a hellish team to try and overcome. He's injured. They're out of the playoffs. Okay, the Niners, they're going to win 12 games in the regular season. Do you want to play them? No, I don't. I don't want to go anywhere near them. Now I'm going to tell you that Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Fred Warner, all unavailable. Other key players have had injury issues. Like, that's a totally different beast. Oh, what about the Rams, though? Yeah, the Rams have just struggled through the Carolina Panthers for the second time that they've played them in the last few weeks. And they got hammered by the Atlanta Falcons. And Matt Stafford's got a bad finger. And the defense can't stop a beach ball being thrown from the pocket at the minute. The Minnesota Vikings won 14 games last year. They're not in the playoffs. The Philadelphia Eagles, the defending champions, they've gone home. Like, this is a rare opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
You have to take advantage of this now. Your expectations have to change. It will be an epic disappointment if the season ends this weekend.
Yeah, they will. In sports, you get very few opportunities like they've got for them right now, where everything's kind of lining up for them perfectly, and you've got to take advantage of that. And they've got an amazing chance here and a pathway to not only get to the Super Bowl but to win the whole thing. And you don't want to get too ahead of we can get ahead of ourselves. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to influence the game at all. They don't get ahead of themselves, but I think they understand kind of what's set forth for them. And you look at them. I think we get blinded here a little bit in this city, or in this fan base, I should say, because it expands certainly outside of Seattle, but of just how good they are. You look at the games they've won and the opponents that they have dominated, the discrepancy between the points. And you're right. Even the games that they've lost, they easily could have won more than 14 games. I mean, nationally, when you turn on the national shows, I don't even think they don't even quite understand just how dominant this team has been this year. They don't seem to be getting ahead of themselves. I think they understand that the Niners can be a dangerous team. And I just go back, full circle to Darnold. I think the only way that San Francisco would be in this game on Saturday is if you see like a Darnold performance of a year ago in the playoffs, or what you saw even earlier this year against the Rams. I think that's the only way that they have a shot. If he turns the ball over and is careless with it, whether it's an interception or a fumble, I think that's the only chance they got.
I can't remember exactly what the stats were, but I was listening to Chris Long, the former Rams, Patriots, Eagles pass rusher, talking on his podcast earlier today about the pressure that San Francisco had or didn't have against the Eagles. And he said it was 2.4 seconds per snap for the quarterback to throw the football, and a pressure percentage that was appalling. And his point that he was making was that if you cannot succeed in the passing game in that environment, you have major issues for the Eagles. And that's the thing, is like, if for Sam Darnold to have the kind of epic meltdown that we have seen him have last season at the end and against the Rams, you would think he'd have to be pressured a lot, or that he would have to be feeling the pinch. And the Niners didn't do that in Santa Clara. And if they get tricky, you've got to hope they've got a way of combating that. And the other thing I would say is that I think that the ace in the pack for Seattle to avoid that kind of epic meltdown, which I agree with you, is probably their best way to have a contest here and to make a real game of this, is to run the football, is to run the football, make them cheat up, make them stack the box, and that will make life easier for Sam Darnold. Then you play action, your deep shots, Jackson Smith and Jigba over the top, getting your quarterback on the move. If they are committing to all of that stuff, it's going to leave the middle open. You can get AJ Barner involved. Elijah Arroyo's back in the mix.
Yeah.
So if the game is declaring itself that they are going to stack the box, you can get Elijah Arroyo running the seam or Barner. So there's going to be opportunities there. You should be able to have a list of questions that the Niners are going to ask, and you're going to have answers for them. Yeah. And the only thing that could separate that is that if they get a trick play and they beat you on it like they did with the Eagles last week, you maybe just have to hold your hands up. But are they going to do that and get 30 points doing that? Or they're going to get 7 and it's one trick play, or they're going to get a first down with a trick play? Like, you've just got to play the percentages and the toughness and the physicality. And I'm so desperate for this team to do well, Puck, because one, it's trenches based. Two, this mission over, the MOB mindset. It's exactly how I want a team to be. I look at the Eagles and despair. The thought of having to deal with the drama surrounding AJ Brown and the quarterback and Nick Sirianni. I don't want any of that. I hated all of the drama that was around Geno and DK Metcalf and Pete Carroll in the past and all of that. So I'm so done with all of that. I want a violent, aggressive, physical, trench-based football team who are going to smack the other team in the face. And that's what we've got. And I want this team to win so that it can prove that brand of football wins. It might be old school. It might be boring to the people on Twitter, the cool kids. But that's the kind of football that I like, and I want it to be a winning formula.
All right, they're heavy favorites, the biggest favorite of the weekend at 7. We expect them to pull off the win, and then they will host the NFC Championship game. Who will be coming to Seattle a week from this weekend?
My belief is that the Seahawks will win. And again, that's not a cocky prediction, Niners fans, so don't come shouting in the comments at me and Puck. It's a fair prediction, and I have a ton of respect for the way the Niners have played. But I think they'll be playing the Bears. I think the Bears are going to beat the Rams.
Ooh.
I think
conditions not good in Chicago, by the way, and I just stumbled across a stat. I mean, it's going to be in the teens. I think it's actually be lower than that, like 10 to 12 degrees. I think there's snow, precipitation in the forecast. And I just saw a stat that Stafford does not do well in those conditions, never has. See, here's and I kind of agree with you. Everyone has been writing off the Bears every single week. Oh, they got lucky here. They got lucky there. Oh, they barely hung on here. They just kind of keep winning, like every week.
At any point, the Bears can just go, we're going to put it up into 5th gear now and score 20 points. Yeah. Like in no time at all. And there is something to be said for that. And they will be building that inner confidence from feeling like it doesn't matter what we face. Like if they're 20 points down at half time again this weekend, they'll think they can still go and win the game in the second half. And that is powerful. And the other thing that they've got is just this backyard football that they're playing, being able to sort of move around and throw it around. And they have got a ton of weapons there. Yeah. They have got an offensive line. I just think that they can put up points on anybody. And then you've got the other side of it with the Rams were really unconvincing against the Panthers. And maybe they're just going to switch it on, and Stafford's good enough and McVay's good enough and Puka Nakua's good enough to do that. But they, as the season has gone along, ever since that game in Seattle, the Rams just haven't looked the same force. So I think the Bears are going to win. And then it would be potentially the Seahawks against the Bears in the NFC Championship game, the number 1 DVOA team against the number 16 DVOA team in Chicago. I think that would be an interesting game. I think it would be a good matchup for Seattle. I think that's what we should be rooting for. I hope that's not famous last words, though.
All right, last thing for you. There's 9 openings in the NFL. One would assume if Klint Kubiak wants to be a head coach, he's going to get one of these 9 openings, which is incredible to have that many. If he does leave, is there someone you have your sights on to take over?
Well, this is a real problem, Puck. Not to be negative about it, but if the Seahawks get to the Super Bowl, you ain't appointing a new offensive coordinator until February. Now, I'm just wondering whether it's going to become common knowledge within the NFL that our team is going to hire Kubiak. Now, that happened with Kellen Moore. It sort of felt as the process was going along that the Saints were going to go and appoint Kellen Moore. We've seen it in the past where there's two teams left who haven't got appointed somebody, and it's because we all know who they're waiting for down the line. Now, if the Seahawks are in that position, you would think that John Schneider can put the feelers out, put a few calls in, and get his ducks in a row so that when the season ends, they can replace their guy. But right now, the Detroit Lions are able to go and ring Mike McDaniel and get him in for a meeting. Right now, the Philadelphia Eagles can ring up whoever they want and get them in for a meeting. The Commanders have already appointed their offensive coordinator to replace Cliff Kingsbury. So they've stolen a bit of a march on you there. And the one thing that we've really discovered this year is the benefit of having a somewhat experienced defensive coordinator with great contacts to be able to bring a good offensive line coach in, and Rick Dennison, who's a senior advisor, and Andrew Janoko, who has worked with Klint Kubiak an awful lot. I really worry about having to find someone who is very inexperienced and has not got those contacts. But the obvious candidates out there are obviously Mike McDaniel, Shanahan coach. I just wonder whether Arthur Smith, who was getting head coaching offers here, he was reportedly the man who Mike McDonald wanted to pair with when he was looking at jobs when Seattle were in the process of going for coaches. And it was just because the process was going on so long, and because the Ravens were still in the playoffs, he just took the job that was available, which was the Steelers' job. If he's going to be available now, I wonder if they turn to him. That will have a mixed reaction from certain fans. Kevin Stefanski looks as if he's going to get a job, but if he didn't, for whatever reason, his mentor was Gary Kubiak. So what a perfect appointment that would be. Those are sort of the names that sort of jump to mind, but I am a little bit fearful of this. I think this could be a big loss, and I'm not going to say too much here, but somebody got in touch with me earlier today and said that there is one team that they know of who is very interested in Klint Kubiak, and I just wonder if he is going to end up with a job.
Okay, there he is in the bloody trenches with Rob Staton. Go read all of his work, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Follow him on social media at Rob Staton. Check out the YouTube page, Rob Staton Football. His weekly appearance brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. Tasting room and beer garden open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. GeorgetownBeer.com. Enjoy it this weekend. Thank you, Rob.
Nice, Puck. Good luck to the Seahawks this weekend.
Thank you.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
Big thanks again to Rob Staton for joining us. He'll, of course, be a part of the Daily Puck Drop, the full audio podcast. And also, if you want to watch it on YouTube, part of the Daily Puck Drop there. Also, we'll separate Rob's appearance up on YouTube later today. Again, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. All right, we've got Hey, What the Puck coming up here in just a quick second. Also, before we get to Hey, What the Puck, and before we get to On This Day, which On This Day has a brand new sponsor, by the way, we do have a new edition of Inside Pitch with Ryan Divish. It is out now for Puck's Posse members. If you are a member, go check it out. If you're not, it's just $5 a month. You can also get a discount if you sign up for a year. If any issues, problems financially, send me an email. We can always work something out. puck@pucksports.com. On this week's show, we're just a few weeks away from spring training getting underway. Divish and I talked a lot about Kyle Tucker. Why are the Mariners? I mean, we know why, but why are the Mariners not more in on someone like Kyle Tucker?
Always talked about it before, about how they're kind of risk averse. You know, they don't take the huge gamble. You know, it's not rounders and you're pushing all your chips in. They don't do that. I mean, you know, they'll do it with trades and moving prospects, but when it comes to dollar commitments, they have preferred to give the dollar commitments to players within their organization on extensions. Now it's all well and good if the players in the organization want to sign an extension. Cal Raleigh wanted to be here. He signed an extension. Julio, they gave him a lot of money. He wanted to be here. But you know what? There are plenty of other players that are really good that, you know, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, these guys that you want to keep around, they haven't given to them extensions. Maybe it's because they're pitchers and pitchers get hurt and all that other stuff. But I get, like, they just don't, that's not how they want to operate.
And again, and Divish is right. That's not how they want to operate, but they should operate that way. And we go bigger and deeper in on Kyle Tucker, why it would make sense. and why this organization just does not want to jump all the way in when it comes to really improving this baseball team. And then the other options out there, Nico Horner of the Chicago Cubs, that was mentioned if you read Adam Jude's piece at the SeattleTimes.com, and also Brendan Donovan now with the Arenado trade going down. Would that make sense there for Seattle? And again, go check it out. Inside Pitch, Ryan Divish, both video and audio are up there. And they're at the Pucks Posse membership page. Sign up today. Go to pucksports.com. Again, just $5 a month there to watch and listen to the full Divish Inside Pitch segment. By the way, if you are a member or if not, you can sync up the Patreon page with your Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So you don't have to go to like a separate Patreon app to watch it. Also, we've got, if you're not a Pucks Posse member, we give you like 6 or 7 minutes of it every single week. It's up on YouTube, and it will be up there and available to watch, about 6 or 7 minutes of Divish and I talking more in depth there on Kyle Tucker. All right, before we get on out of here, we got On This Day and Hey, What the Puck. And as I mentioned, we have a brand new sponsor for On This Day, and we're really excited to have them a part of Puck Sports and the Daily Puck Drop. But moving forward, On This Day is now brought to you by Hive Social. And you're wondering what Hive Social is. Well, think of it as like, as Brendan in Phoenix said, as we're sharing the screen of Hive Social. Hive Social would be like Snapchat and LinkedIn, but better. It's for adults, not for kids. There is no fee. There are no ads. There is no algorithms to Hive Social. And it's a perfect time of year, especially with the Seahawks and the playoff game coming up and their playoff run, their deep playoff run, we hope, this weekend. And you got to ask yourself, when you go to a Seahawks game or an event, have you ever thought, I wonder who else is there that I know? I know I do. Well, thanks now to Hive Social, you've solved your problem. You go and download the Hive Social app today. It's HYV. That's HYV Social, the official social meetup app for Puck Sports. It's not just for sports fans. It's for everyone. It's free. Get Hive Social on iOS or Google Play today. Perfect spot to discover nearby events, meet new people. You can chat instantly and all become part of the same community. Hive Social. Download it to your smartphone today. And big thanks to Hive Social. And Cougar owned, by the way. And Cougs know something about having people meet up with other people. All right? That's the type of people we are. So if you're a Coug, you want to support a Coug business, Hive Social, download it today. A community-based app that's going to let you know where other people are, where they're at watching the big game, like the Seahawks and Niners game this week. You're going to go down to the game and you're wondering, or after the game or before the game, where's everybody meeting up for the game this weekend? Hive Social is going to let you know where all the Seahawks fans are. So download it today. Google Play Store if you're an Android user, or the iOS Store if you're an iPhone user. All right. On this day, January 14th, 2023, speaking of Seahawks and Niners, that was the first playoff game for Brock Purdy. He was a rookie quarterback coming out of Iowa State, and he led the 49ers to a win over your Seattle Seahawks. It was his first playoff appearance. He passed for 332 yards, 3 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey had 119 yards on the ground that day. DK Metcalf had a great game, but the Niners pulled away in the second half. And I think it was Dugar or Danny Kelly this week that he felt like this game this week could be something similar, where it's a game in the first half, but then the Seahawks pull away in the second half, just like the Niners did a few years ago. A lot has happened on this day, January 14th, in the entertainment world. You probably watched this, have watched it, been on forever. The Today Show made its premiere in 1952. Sanford and Son made its debut in 1972. The Bionic Woman, starring Lindsay Wagner, debuted on ABC in 1976. A year later, ABC debuted a new TV show called Fantasy Island. Also in 1993, David Letterman leaving NBC after being snubbed for The Tonight Show. When Johnny Carson stepped down, they gave it to Jay Leno. That was a huge mistake. And he went to CBS. All of that happening on this day, January 14th. And again, on this day, now brought to you by Hive Social, great place for sports fans, not sports fans, just anyone to meet up and get together. The official social meetup app for Puck Sports. Again, just not for sports fans, for everyone. It's free, by the way. No ads, no algorithms on there. Get Hive Social on iOS or Google Play today. All right, takes us to Hey What the Puck, which is now brought to you by, well, it's always been brought to you by Restoration One. Restoration1.com, North Seattle franchise. They are going to let you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Reach out to them today if you have any issues there with your commercial or residential property. This story just kind of came down, and I'm really wondering how this is going to affect the sports world and the conflict of interest here. Kalshi, do you know, I think I'm pronouncing it right, I may not. Kalshi has teaming up with Bryson DeChambeau. He becomes the first athlete deal to reach a deal here with a professional athlete. And you're wondering, well, what's Kalshi? It's a prediction market. It's like the stock market, but you're making predictions and it's gambling. And they've done this weird thing with Kalshi. They've worked around the regulations to gamble, around all kind of the hoops that you need to go in. And they've been a part of news channels and sports leagues and teams, but they never had an athlete to endorse until DeChambeau has reached an agreement with them, which will include a TV commercial, social media post, live appearance promotions, branded content, and more. And the deal will also mean the launch of markets on events in which he plays. According to the statement shared with Front Office Sports, the company has offered Live Golf event contracts in the past, and although last year it stopped offering those markets, it currently offers a market on how many course records DeChambeau will break in his course record series on YouTube this year. I think what is interesting about it, it's a prediction market, is Kalshi. Well, he's the one that's participating in the tournament, right? He can have a direct hand, a lot like gambling when you do prop bets. He can have a direct hand in that bet coming through. So you can go on the prediction market and it's like it's day trading. Will he make this putt? Will he hit this drive 400 yards, or will he hit it out of bounds? Well, I guess the conflict of interest would be the slippery slope. What would stop DeChambeau, knowing how much money is on something in this prediction market that they have, of him missing this putt? What if he pushes the putt? What would stop him? Would you know? I think this more information comes out about this agreement. This is the first time they've reached a deal with an actual athlete. He has got sole possession, especially because it's an individual sport. He has sole possession of the prediction. He handles it. He can handle it himself. It will be real curious how they regulate this, and how DeChambeau will handle this. I think there's a lot more to this than, oh, this is just great news for Kalshi, and then also for Bryson DeChambeau, because it could bring. We've had this whole thing in sports betting here in the last few months and year when it comes to prop bets. There's nothing more prop bet than this in what they do and how they market and how they make their money in this prediction market. That's Hey What the Puck, again, brought to you by Restoration One, locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when those damages affect your residential or commercial property. Restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Big thanks to everybody watching and listening to today's show. Thank you to our sponsors, Limbeck Lumber, Georgetown Brewery, Flat Stick Pub, and also Restoration One. Big thanks to the Go-To Guys sponsors who provide him to come on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That, of course, would be a Clean Streak, also Brotherton Cadillac, and the Angry Beaver. You can check out today's Daily Puck Drop up on YouTube. Be up there shortly. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Try to get to as many as we can. Also find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms. Apple, Spotify, does not matter. And you can find everything up at pucksports.com. When you're there, please sign up to become a member of the Pucks Posse. Just $5 a month. You support all the free content we do daily. In addition, you get bonus shows like our baseball coverage, which is out now with Ryan Divish. Yesterday's Sports Pit is out with Matt Stretch Johnson, and tomorrow it's another edition of KJ Arntz with Mitch Levy. Also, new episodes out every Monday. Graz with Gas Take 5 podcast, which we now produce. Just search Graz with Gas Take 5. All right, that's it for us, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Thought it was Tuesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow, Thursday. Mike Garafolo is back talking NFL, talking Seahawks and playoffs, and again, another edition of KJ Arntz with Mitch Levy. We'll talk to you tomorrow, as always. Promise to be better.
No shoes, no dive.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We like to send out anyway.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!